Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. I'm your host, Haven, and today I'm curious about what to do when you like your friend's ex. Help, I like my friend's ex. That is what one of my girlfriends said to me over lunch a couple months ago, where she was like, I have conflicting feelings. I want to have your take. Can you help me figure out what I should do here? And I talked her through a little bit. We kind of went back and forth, excavating a little bit of the situation, but I thought she's not the first person to have this question. She's not going to be the last one. What would it look like to kind of explore it in an episode? Since we're already in this relationship series with season 2, I thought it'd be really fitting. And I wanted to bring in a specific guest for the male perspective on it. So please welcome back my husband, Aaron Weits.
Woo!
Woo!
Hello.
Thanks for coming from our bedroom to the couch for filming this.
It's a long journey, but it's one that's really worth.
Thank you. We made it.
Thank you.
Okay, so at first blush, what's your response when someone says
Blush? It's more like it's not a blush. To me, it's more like a red face, like red flag. All the alarms are going off.
When you hear help, I like my friend's ex?
Yeah, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Like, oh, this is going to be, it's like you can kind of see like the train wreck happening in slow motion.
In front of you.
It's like in like multiple angles, but yeah, this is a toughie.
It's
Glad to be here for the tough relationship conversations.
the hard-hitting ones. What would you say, though, if someone told you that?
After I scream a little bit, I'd probably say, what do you like about him or her? I'm guessing it's a girl and guy. Well,
It can go either way, man.
now that I think about it, I've know other situations that are almost exactly the same thing. And
In those situations, did it ever pan out if they dated the ex?
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, like,
it's not as messy as we think then.
It depends on how long. Everything is context.
Mm-hmm.
So my first little investigation would be on what was the previous relationship and how did it end?
Mm.
And that will tell you a lot about maybe a potential future relationship.
Wow, that's a good question. What are some other questions to be asked when you're faced with this scenario?
Some other questions to be asked when facing this scenario.
You're just biding time by
Yeah,
repeating
I'm
it.
thinking, but it took so much energy to repeat that now I have nothing. Hold on.
Oh my gosh. Do you want me to word it better? What's another question to ask?
I'm sorry. I'm seeing that train wreck happen, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
this is tough. I don't know. What about you? What would you ask?
I would ask, how close are you with your friend? Like if you're casual acquaintances, maybe not a big deal. If it's like a lifelong childhood friend, if it's your best friend, like it gets a lot murky the closer you are to your friend. And then my follow-up question would be, how long did they date? How serious was it? Was your friend in love with them?
Did you say, I love you?
Did you say, I love you? Like those things.
Yeah. Or did you love it? Like, not just say it. That feels very juvenile a little bit. Like, were you in love?
Have you always been secretly harboring these feelings for them? And now that they're broken up, you're admitting it, but they were maybe always there the whole time.
Do you think there's a dynamic of like, I mean, I don't know. It's so vague to me that I don't know this situation exactly, but the overall construct I do. But do you think there's any semblance of like, I really like my friend, like my friendship is so ingrained or intertwined, or like I'm not such a good friend, but such a close friend, or I admire this person so much. It's like, not that you want what they have kind of thing.
There's a lot like on internally, or what is your dating pattern? I'm asking my friend who says like, help, I like my friend's ex. What's your dating pattern? Do you go for unavailable people? Are you only interested in someone when someone else has them? Like, what's your pattern of why you're drawn to that scenario? Because even when I told this friend, I said there's 8 billion people in the world almost. and about half-ish of them are men. So it's 4 billion men and one friend. Like, at the end of the day, choose your friend. Like, that part is one that's more important. But even though, as you mentioned, some people who've done this before, like, it does work out. So, like, what are the prerequisites? This one, they were close in friendship. So I wouldn't recommend someone you're super close with. But if it's like adjacent friends or acquaintances, I think that opens the playing field a little bit more where it's not as bad to date an ex.
I think you're onto something with the whole like inaccessible kind of thing. Like, it's like some people play hard to get. In that situation, it's like impossible to get, you know, without crossing a few lines and, you know, making some poor decisions. But also, too, depending on the history, like, you don't want someone who's like, they're dating your friend and then they start flirting with you while they're dating your friend. Is that how the seed was born? Or is it just the overall, you know, attraction thing? Like, that's a whole other dynamic that's, again, very uncomfortable for me to talk about.
There are more detours of where it can go wrong than it can go right. That's for sure.
So how does it go right?
So how
What's
does it
the
go
narrow
right?
path that is the path to love?
Okay. I think it goes right when you play the long game. Like, things go wrong when you immediately are acting on these feelings and you're not thinking about it. Like, if you are really meant to be with this person, then you can take your time and let your friend heal from her ex. Let her have some space. Like, you don't have to immediately go into it. Just bide your time and then see if your own feelings pass. And they may.
Now a quick pause to hear from my sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Efficienade. Efficienade offers fractional virtual assistants whose sole purpose is to help people who are making a difference. Are you bogged down in your email and still managing your own calendar? Delegating those tasks to a high-caliber career assistant can free you up to utilize your time towards the areas of your best and highest use, allowing you to focus on the areas you truly thrive in. Learn more at efficienade.com. That's efficient, AIDE.com. Okay, back to the episode.
Speaking from my experience, just when we started dating, friendship rules, like, overall. And so maybe even with the, you know, the friend dynamic to the ex, you know, the person that you like, maybe there is a avenue of just like try to be friends with them too, instead of treat, you know, it's not like a commodity or something. It's like, now I have acquired this boyfriend or girlfriend and now I don't know, whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, it's maybe a little bit more nuanced. Like, do they still talk? Are they still friends? Are they cool? If they are, that's maybe a good situation where it's like, oh yeah, we just, you know, especially, I don't know, we dated so long ago. I feel like some of the context of dating, I don't have to worry about that. Thank God.
Yeah.
But on the other level, I know a lot of people who are dating or are trying to date or are failing at dating or, yeah, have successfully done it. But it's such a different world. I think the older you get too, you know, you're like, is there anyone out there? Like, is this time, am I past my prime? You know, like, you're worried about all this stuff. But I think engaging in the friendship relationship thing is far better than like, oh, he asked me out, now we're together. You know, it's like, there's that like high school, middle school, like, you're my girlfriend, you're my boyfriend thing is like, it kind of can happen. And the exclusivity is obviously a very good thing. Commitment, it shows that you're not like a hound dog. I laughed at that joke before I said it.
It's such an old reference, but yeah.
I know. What else? What other advice would you give someone in that situation?
I'd probably just ask them, what's your end game? Is the end game something long-term? Is the end game, oh, I just want to explore it and see, which is kind of murky. And is it worth risking the loss of a friendship over if it's something just casual?
I agree.
Thank you.
I think it's very tricky. Relationships.
It is, because it's also not black and white. It's not like, don't ever date your friend's ex. Clearly, you've known of instances where it works. How do you do it ethically, thoughtfully, honorably. I think you try and do it leading with the best foot possible, which I would think would start with a conversation with your friend.
Yeah.
I think it's where it starts. If you're going to explore it, I think you tell your friend, hey, this is going to be an uncomfortable conversation, but I care about you enough to tell you and to talk about it. And then see how it lands. And allow your friend to be hurt by it if that's what happens. Like, don't force them to be okay with you trying this. Let them have their own feelings about it. And also be prepared if they are hurt. Okay. Are you going to still date him? Even if they're hurt?
You know, if you're ever bored, there's a really great Studio Ghibli movie called Whisper of the Heart. And I put it on sometimes because it's very chill, very serene. City, Tokyo. And this girl, she's going about her high school life, trying to figure out what she wants to do when she graduates and what career she wants. And she's just like writing and all this stuff. This part of the story that's relevant is her friend is into this guy and the guy is into her. And it's like this, unfortunate love triangle situation. And is that what this is?
Maybe.
But
if they broke up, maybe not.
In the context of the story, that's kind of an aspect that happens. So
how does the movie end?
I'm not going to spoil it.
How do we land the plane of what to do in that scenario?
I think the point of in that context in that movie, it's you see that kind of at work, and it's not you living through it, which is kind of nice sometimes to like, I don't know, even with books and films and reality TV shows, you see these dynamics of people sometimes making questionable decisions. Most of the time, that's what adds to the drama.
One thing I think is interesting is the phrase of like, you never do something out of character. Someone being like, oh, that's so out of character of me.
Impossible.
Like, I would never. It's actually impossible to do something out of character. It's always you. It's always your character.
Because your character is who you are, right?
Mm-hmm. So if you want to live as a person of character, then I think the cleanest way is to figure out your end game and see if it's worth it. And then talk to your friend and give them space to have their feelings about it. And then decide what to do. I think those are just the most simplest of terms if you're going to explore it. And also take your time. Like, just observe, be friends, give it space. It doesn't have to happen right now.
I would echo to that you have to talk about it. To be the best version of yourself, to have the strongest character, I don't know. I think about this time in high school. Oh, this is cringe. Should I even share this?
Please.
It's cringe. I had a friend who dated this girl that I really liked. I didn't know her name. I saw her in the halls. I thought she was like, it was like Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers situation. Yeah. And if you don't know, Scott Pilgrim is pretty much the villain of that movie because he's so awful and so, anyway, I love that concept. But back to Aaron Weits' version of Scott Pilgrim in high school. I dated this girl after they broke up, and it was like that friendship really hurt. Like I kind of didn't talk to the guy as much after that. And I saw that happening before my eyes, like the train wreck I referenced earlier. Maybe that was the train wreck I was seeing. Was it your own train wreck?
Just a flashback? Wow. Was it worth dating her?
Yeah.
See? Sometimes it's worth it.
The point of dating, I think, is helping figure out who you are, what you're interested in, who you're interested in, what kind of person. And I think, at the end of that relationship, I really learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my fears and how I can screw things up by screwing things up.
There's interesting...
like a failure, like it wasn't catastrophic, but it was like, oh,
that's
we're still friends.
That there's like lessons to be had even in messiness and even in failure.
That's the best word, messy. It was messy.
Yeah. But you did learn something. Mm-hmm. I think also what I hope and what I like about this podcast is there's no like one right way. There's no like land the plane here. Here's the advice. Like it could be all over. Like even this conversation, we're just exploring the way we would, where it's like, how would you handle if you liked someone's ex? You dated them. I would not date them. There's not like a right or wrong way.
Yeah.
What?
Everything's context.
Yeah.
But I do think that you're right.
What do you mean?
Don't do it. Probably. No, I think
You just said you didn't regret it.
what I think is talking about it, shining light on it, making it may feel awkward, but like it's more awkward if you do it and don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like that situation I was in, I did not talk to my friend. I was just like, they're over. My turn. No.
Thank you. Next.
No, hold on. Like I was kind of thinking like, if they're over, then
Fair game.
I could try,
Yeah.
you know, and then
It burned that friendship. So it's back to the question of, do you want to keep that friendship? And if so, how can you navigate it? Cool. Well,
cool.
these are mini episodes. So these are
Best
little
of
shorties.
luck.
Actually, I followed up with her going to this episode. I was like, can I just have your permission? I'll
It
remove
is a
names.
her.
It is a her.
Oh.
And I said, how did it turn out? Like, what did you do? She goes, you said one thing that changed the game for me. She said that I told her you only get so many childhood friends in this lifetime. And her friend was a particular childhood friend.
Oh yeah.
And she was like,
Wow.
So
That changes the dynamic. To have a friend for that long.
Yeah.
Too. The longevity matters.
twist though, she did say that she kind of explored it and the guy sucked, and both she and her friend dodged a bullet. So she took the advice and didn't. But I think that's the fun in these little mini episodes, is just let's pull the thread of the sweater until it's dismantled in a big pile of yarn. So what once was a question is now just for you to decide. And I'd be interested to see where the listeners land on it. So you can email hello@havenpod.com. If you have an experience, I'd be very interested to hear if it worked or if it didn't work. And you also had a train wreck like Aaron said he experienced. Other than that, I also have a monthly newsletter now. You can go to havenpod.com to sign up for that. And hey, maybe we'll explore if one of you had put an entry here of whether it did or didn't work out. But there is some specific content only for people on the newsletter. So please sign up. You can also follow, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Haven the Podcast. Feel free to share this podcast as well with your friends and family on whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. I do want to get this to grow. I wanted to get it out there. So my request is that you pass it along to someone, and then you can talk about it too and get their take. So until next week, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you then.